Uh, hello.
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 That's the problem. Like, I don't know where to split them, and when I split them into the next episode, it's like mid conversation because there's never a good spot. So I need a break between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on. Chusset, Chisset, Chasset. I like the way that sounds. I have no idea what it means. Chasset is 19, enough to fill my basket. But what basket? It's just like talking nonsense at this point.
It's supposed to be like a nursery rhyme or something, right? So, I mean, nursery rhymes can be nonsense.
Baby bunting, baby deer, baby bring your berries here. Chusset, Chisset, Chasset, bring enough to fill your basket. Oh, it's like something from when he was lovers and before the world moved on. Maybe
That
not
his
that one.
mom told him that.
Yeah, not before the move. I guess he's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that old,
yeah.
but um, he remembered his mother leaning toward him, her face pied with that lovely, various light and the soul of a lover. Oh, yeah, I just read the lover part. I didn't realize it was his mom. They have a weird relationship. Little matricide, little Oedipus thing going on. So, well, I made that up. I'm not. I don't know about that part. She used to sing it to her little boy with his big eyes, looking solemnly up at her from the pillow. So yeah. So as the wave hit him, he was thinking enough, or after the wave hit him, he was thinking enough to fill my basket. Just a Chisset Chasset, 17, 18, 19. I, okay. I hope it's full. I don't really understand the wave. Is that just like to get them to see Mordred being born?
Like it was like the wave of goodness wanting good to win, like helping them out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like giving them information that they couldn't have gotten otherwise, kind of
Well,
thing.
because they weren't actually there for Mordred being born.
Mm.
They didn't see that part, did they?
No, because that was when Eddie like was like he or understood that Susanna and was fine, and with Jake, he was like, she didn't talk about what she's afraid of up ahead, but considering she's terrified of the birth, I can't imagine what it was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I almost feel bad for me. Then again, I don't, but I almost do.
What'd you say? You
I,
almost
I
what?
almost feel bad for Mia.
Mia.
Um, Mia.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Callahan's low man might be Tahin, creatures neither of the prim nor of the natural world, but misbegotten things from somewhere between the two. Okay, how does that happen? They're like prim rejects. They're like they get thrown in the trash off the assembly line.
I mean, creatures from between worlds sounds like Todash.
Right? See, back to that where it chimes. They certainly weren't the sort of beings Roland called slow mutants. So low men are not slow mutants, in case anybody's wondering that. I don't think we were ever. I don't think anybody. They might be genuine Tahin, sometimes known as the third people or the can toy. Tahin, wait, is that our first can toy?
Officially, yeah. Which does 100% link desperation to this.
Oh, Takala? Does he say can toy in that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? Desperation wasn't even in that list. Maybe this is no, it's not before you, but that I
um,
see desperation or God,
I'm sorry, I have a question real quick. I was just thinking about Chasset means 19, right? And that's the password to get through the door.
right?
But 19 is only relevant to Stephen King. And I mean, I don't know if he wrote the door, but it feels like that would be something more controlled by the Crimson King. So why would he make the password 19?
Well, they're all seeing 19 everywhere.
I understand that. But
What do you
again,
mean
so
it's only Stephen King?
it comes down to, I guess, Stephen King is in charge of the door in a meta way. So
I
he
mean,
wrote the password to B19.
what are you saying? It shouldn't be 19?
I'm saying the door seems like it would be something that's controlled by the Crimson King and his forces, not by the story.
Oh,
Why is the password a word that they know and care about? 19 doesn't mean anything to the Crimson King.
I thought that was odd too, because Sayer is like, they'll never guess that, even if they get there. And they're like,
Right.
well, it better not be 19 then, because they'll guess that. And it was 19, like in a
Especially
roundabout
not
way.
in the language of a person who's from that world.
Yeah, right.
Can't Toyanese?
Tahini's language there,
Wouldn't that be funny if it was 19 in one of their languages?
right? 19 is one of them words that's the same in all worlds, like Stephen King. So, Callahan shoots himself before the grandfathers get him, right?
Yes.
Don't they? Did the grandfathers mention Barlow? Didn't he come up in that scene?
So
I was just thinking about Barlow a lot for some reason.
I think Callahan maybe thinks about him because of that whole retribution thing.
well, I think Roland. Well, maybe he and Roland think about it because he's like, of course the grandfathers would go for Callahan because the other vampire marked for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, wait. I feel like it was I don't remember. Whatever. Because it was the low men that were advancing on him at first because they didn't care about the cross.
Right.
And then, but he didn't want the vampires to eventually get to him, so then he shot himself.
Well, weren't the grandfathers coming or getting ready to come, or
Yeah, they were. Well, yeah. I mean, they're all in the same room. I said eventually, but that's a liberal use of the word.
right? Eventually, meaning 12 seconds later.
Yeah.
Yeah, they a Tahim with the body of a man and the head of a Waseau, Waseau. What is that? So that's French with all them letters. So that's probably an O, right? Waseau.
All the vowels, you mean?
Like like
all
Deborah.
words have letters in them.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I meant vowels. Sorry. Like Devereaux, so it would be like Waseau.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. I don't know what a head of a Waseau looks like. Hey Google, show me the head of a Waseau. Waseau. No, she didn't spell that anywhere near. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay, so then we get to the door. The people are chasing them. The kid that help Jake died, right?
I don't think we saw him. I think Jake follows Oi.
Does your book? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, he just says, "Be careful of the mine trap."
Yeah, then Sayer and them come through. Oh yeah, Jake's trying to tell him to come with him. And he's like, "Nah, I am what I am. Basically, sorry, dude. Like you can go, but if I see you again, that's that." He was like younger than Jake, I think. But does your guys before chapter 3, which I guess is the end of chapter 2, the page before Eddie makes a call? I got a cool picture. Do you guys have that picture? It's like a Tahine and a. What do you think? Type 1 standing next to each other. I kind of need that in my Stephen King room. That picture right there.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a type 1.
Do you have that, Allie?
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's a Tahine on the right. I wonder if that's a Waseau. Waseau.
Oh, I thought that was one of the rat things.
Well, isn't that a Tahine, the rat thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just it looks rat-like, so I'm assuming that's what it is. Maybe a Waseau is a type of rat. Good thing we're not too popular because somebody would be screaming at me, telling me what it was by now.
They
I
might
mean,
know.
how do you spell it again?
WASEAU.
Yeah, I've been trying to look it up and I don't. You said WASEAU?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a real thing.
What? Well, how am I supposed to know what it is then? Then he needs to explain it.
Oh, wait, it's probably, never mind. I just realized, hold on. I wonder, it's probably in French.
Probably in a Stephen King wiki. WASEAU. Did I say that right?
Say it again? I'm sorry.
WASEAU.
Yeah. I keep wanting to put another vowel in it.
Like an X on the end or something.
All right, so it is a French word, and I should know this because I took French for a while, but it means water in English.
What the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
I don't know.
So Waso is water? Like, that's word for word? Okay. I'm going to move on with that. I feel like he might have been stoned that night. I mean, he was drinking a lot. Hell, he was drinking beers for lunch when Roland was over there.
There's actually a Dark Tower page that said the French word for bird is wasso.
Oh.
So it's a water bird. Depends on what part of France you're hanging out in, I guess, right? And
okay. So yeah, the French word for water is something else, but I see the French word for bird is OISEAU. So it's probably
Wieso?
wazoo.
Waisu.
It's pronounced wazoo.
I'll just talk in English and speak it like this. Oh.
He spelled it the way it sounds, but it's not the way it's actually spelled in French.
Well, I feel like his alignment guy failed on that one.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's too hard to figure out. I'm not sure what he was trying to tell me there. And by the way, can I tell you about the Dark Tower I stayed in on Friday? My God. She's like, okay, so this is a total tangent, but I gotta tell you this. So we get there, they're like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, room night. And she's like, you're on the 19th floor. I'm like, oh my God, you have 19 floors. Like, is it 1999? She's like, you're in 1914. I'm like, damn. And I'm counting it. I'm going, like, so how do I make that into 19? I couldn't do it. I didn't figure out how to get 1914 into like equaling 19 or 99 or any of that. But I didn't pull up my multiplication table either. So then, oh, and by the way, we had a river view, and like I was like, we lost Amber.
Oh.
I guess she didn't want to hear my story. Again.
It is very Dark Tower,
Oh, it is.
She's back.
You're back?
Yeah, sorry.
So we got 1914, and we went out to the game, blah 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 blah. None of that matters. Came back, but we're laying in bed 1 a.m. Fucking somebody opens the goddamn hotel room door.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Like, well, I heard people out there, and I heard, I was like, oh, they got the wrong, fucking room. There's no way they're getting in here. And they hit the key card, and it worked. And they opened the door. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was like, oh, half drunk. Like, oh, hey, sorry. And then 2 minutes later, the fucking phone's ringing. Downstairs is calling us saying, what are we doing in that room? Like, hey, asshole, we paid for that room. That's what the fuck we're doing in that room. What are you doing renting my room out to somebody else? So I had to go down there because now, and I knew that was going to happen, our key cards didn't work because when they assign a key card, nothing before that one they just assigned it to works ever again.
Right.
So if their key card worked, that meant mine didn't. And Michelle's like, want me to come down with you? No, you stay in the room. We need to establish residency. You don't go anywhere. And so I basically went down there and they're like, your card didn't go through. We just went it through now. I'm like, no. The card went through. You never finished it. But this is like this chick's first day, apparently, because we had so many problems and they were all because she didn't like hit the button to actually like send it. So she never actually sent the payment. So the room never actually registered as being used. So they thought it was a goddamn empty room.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
I went down there and screamed at them. So I got a $50 credit because that's what I do. Because I was like, well, do you guys have breakfast? They're like, we have a restaurant. I was like, do you have free breakfast? Well, I can give you a credit for that. I was like, yeah, let's do that. So in the morning, she's trying to charge. This other woman she told me I was being too aggressive. She kept telling me to have a blessed day and wouldn't talk to me.
Who said you were being too aggressive? The lady?
Yeah. Because the credit wasn't on the bill. I was like, no, the credit's on the bill. She's like, it's not there. I don't know if that. I was like, I don't care what you tell me. The credit's on there. I'm not walking away until you put it on there. You're being too aggressive. You're gonna have to talk to my manager.
All right. Well, he put it on there.
She was luckily it was the same manager from the night before because the credit was not on there. Because guess who didn't hit the fucking button?
Now you need more credit.
No, I need to get the fuck out of there and never go there again.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't staying in the Dark Tower.
Yeah, it seemed like somebody was trying to say you weren't actually there.
Yeah, right. Maybe I was Todash.
Somehow you went to another like world where you were not staying in this hotel. Like,
yeah, there was another version of me already in that hotel. It was very strange. I was all excited about the Dark Tower stuff, and then it got weird, and then it got all uncomfortable almost. Like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, it was creepy. Anyway, that was my Dark Tower tangent. But I'm always, I don't know, it's probably just me being like a super nerd fan, but I'm always like fascinated when random things.
Dark Tower related.
I didn't ask for room 19. What were the fucking chances of that? Or the 19th floor?
It happens to me too. Where I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah. I had a lot all at the same time. I was like, whoa, like I almost sent more pay. Like if I was in room 1999, I probably wouldn't.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm a bit like, can I get a different room just in case? I got plans and I don't want to go Toadash tonight. So the wave, I think, is where I left my tangent at, like, at least in my timeline. There's a thing called Avon Cow, which is a tidal wave that runs along the path of the beam. Seems convenient again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I never heard of that before, and I've read 6.5 of these books now.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. I'm like, well, how nice for them.
Yeah, and what purpose does that serve now? Why is there a wave along the path of the beam? To do what?
My interpretation of it was like, it's like the forces of good giving them an extra push to help ensure that they win for the side of good. You know what I mean?
I mean, that would make the most sense.
Yeah. I like how Eddie's the one that's like, we got to go see Moses Carver. I know I love my wife and all, but like, we just have to do this.
I don't know if they're gonna mention it, if we're still getting to that, but like, is that what he's talking about with the key? Was like, or was that the chassis thing? I can't remember, because he again was having that feeling of like, I want to go see Susanna, but I'm not done yet. I have a purpose here.
What key?
Well, that's what he was saying, or he's like, I don't know what. I mean, it may not be an actual key, but like in the same sense of where he had to, finish the things
like the key
before. Right.
Only this time you can't get it close and try again.
Right. You don't
I think he knows what he wants to do, though. I don't think it's a.
No,
he's
that's
not
not what
quite
I'm saying.
sure.
Is is making sure that this deal gets made what he was referring to, the feeling of his purpose?
I think so, yes.
Probably,
Okay.
yeah.
Which became is John. I mean, at this point, I guess John Cullen became a gunslinger too, because that was
Anyone
very
who is
convenient.
quartet is a gunslinger.
Right. It's called the Slinger, the quartet of gunslingers. I don't know. Because so
Gun pet.
basically their whole thing is okay. Now there's a bunch of there's a rip. There's a bunch of freaks walking in the middle of Maine. Like the one that he shot in the head. I can't remember what his name was. Roderick, Child of Roderick, isn't that what he called him?
Yeah, Chevian or something. Chevian.
Chevin of Chavin or something like that.
Yeah.
The Roderick, I don't.
Obviously, that was not a good thing, but I don't know what was wrong with that. Apparently, Roderick is not a good guy. So instead of them having to go see Moses Carver and convince and
I put a message on a fucking.
magic piece of metal and gave it to John and said, "Hey, go do that for us." And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I got that. Don't worry about it." And they're like, "Good, because there's a rip right here, and we're going to go through it, and you'll never be able to do it. So check this out. Bye."
Not only that, but then when Eddie is just like, "But why would you agree to do this?" He's like, "I don't know. I believe you. Why not?" I'm like, "No, that's not enough for me."
There's no answer to that, right? I mean, I could see me with the evidence of the walk-ins in front of me agreeing to something like that. Without that, be like, "You crazy motherfucker." Hell, I mean, I would probably be like, "You are insane," and I'll agree to whatever you need to get you away from me.
Yeah, that's true.
But with the what are they, toad ash things coming through that's actually terrifying. Those are ripped toad ash monsters are just walking through. That's like,
They sounded pretty though.
isn't that what they tried to stop in the Avengers? The whole the rip. They sounded what?
The things that were coming through the like gate or doorway or whatever that Roland and Eddie went sounded pretty.
Yeah, some. Chevin of Chavin didn't sound pretty.
Well, no, but that flew at Eddie that he was like, "Oh, it's made of light, but it's an insect, but it has a human face." I was like, "That's a fairy." That sounds like a fairy.
That was weird when he gave it a human face. I wasn't ready for that. No, like, yeah, that sounds. As a matter of fact, that Will Smith movie, they keep trying to get me to watch that on Netflix. And in the trailer, he's killing the fairy. I forget what it's called, Bright or something.
Oh, good movie.
I haven't watched
I
it.
liked it at least.
Will Smith's kind of annoying these days.
Is it
I
a
used to
new
like him.
movie?
A couple of years.
Like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Oh.
17, 18, something like that, I think. I've been going for my list. See, now, like, Netflix did a smart thing, and I can filter my list. So, like, I can go movies, haven't started yet, oldest to newest. So, I've been going through my oldest.
That have been added to your list?
It was on my list. Like, I have things on my list that I forgot about.
No, meaning like oldest as in oldest that it was added to your list or oldest that it came out?
Oldest that it was added.
Yeah, that's smart.
Been on my list the longest.
Yeah, that is smart.
Yeah. I love how Roland can't say words. Vermont. He has to say Vermont. Really?
Yeah, well, so that made me realize because between him like barely talking to not only like Tower and Deep No, but also to John, I was like, so wait, how? And him messing up words, I was like, how have they been communicating? Like, does Roland speak English? Kind of, or like, I'm very confused about how he and Eddie and Susanna and Jake have all been like talking.
I think I mean, it's English. It has to be English. that's his native language, but he has the high speech. Okay, wait a minute. The high speech is nobody knows like what those words mean. Roland knows the high speech. We don't know the high speech except
Is it
down there.
chassit high speech?
Is it?
I don't know. Actually.
If only I had a book around me somewhere that would tell me things like that.
Yeah.
The low speech, I think, is close to English, but not quite. And maybe that's what the whole word thing is, like Aston and Sandwich and can't think of the other one.
Sounds like he has like a stuffy name. Remote.
So I assumed Roland's native language was English or close enough to it that they're communicating.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't really have an answer for that.
Because the guy that he shot, Eddie was like, oh, he was talking to him in a language that I can't understand. And I was like, hold on. What?
Oh, yeah. I think Roland, he's like an idiot savant sometimes. He knows like 5 languages. When he needs to. Like, what was the point in having them talking a different language at all? Just say it in English. I mean, he didn't think of, like, trying to think of something that the dead guy was saying, so he just did it in a different language.
Maybe.
Roland. I like how Roland's like, or Eddie's like, how do you even know Cullen will be there? And I was like, well, because he is. Like, well, how do you even know that? Because we need him. And it's Ka. Yeah, Ka? What the fuck does that mean? He's like, well,
I mean,
either he's there or he's not. So, well,
I'm with Eddie in the sense of like this bullshit of like, well, Ka is the answer for everything. But how is Eddie surprised at this point? Like, it's been his answer like 1,000,000 times already.
I'm also with Roland because now we know that there's some guy writing your fate, I guess you would say. So
Right.
that would be something that would happen in a story. He would be there.
So Ka is just the storyline.
Right. It's the outline. You know, he doesn't do that.
What was that? What didn't he say? He actually wrote an outline.
Something with an outline. It was Dark Tower, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he had a
was
rough
the last
outline.
one, right? He actually had an outline and then he lost it all.
Yeah.
That's what he said in the last book, at least.
Yeah.
Because outlines weren't working out for him.
And he never did one again.
You're right. I remember during COVID, him and Grisham had like a combined, YouTube live thing they were doing. And Grisham said he writes the last line of every book first. Wow. How do you even, he's like, I write how it ends and then I have to get there. I'm like, well, okay. Stephen King was losing his mind. He's like, what? He had his hands up in the air, like shaking his head. Like, how do you do that?
It does seem like that would be much easier because like figuring out how to get to the final picture is got to be an easier path than figuring out the path.
I think I'm more with Grisham. Yeah, because
I said the same thing, but you know what I mean.
I get ideas, and I'm like, yeah, I got 2 right now that I'm like, oh, I know how. I have a scene in my head, but I don't know how to get to that scene, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that, but I am not that organized to know how it's going to turn out every time. And that's what Stephen King says. He doesn't know where it's going. He just writes, and he's gone writing through him.
If you think about it, like it's kind of the same thing as just writing from the beginning, because you have an idea and you work backwards from that. You know how it's going to end. So how do we get there?
You could actually do both, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You have no idea. You could just start writing, and then once you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
It might actually be a smarter way to do it, I think. But for him, for his process, he just doesn't have the end in mind when he starts. And that maybe, maybe that would help him, because that's probably his biggest struggle sometimes, right? Is figuring out how to wrap it up. Like the journey, he's great at. The wrapping it up part, not always. So maybe he should have the end in mind when he starts, going off on his tangents.
Because then
anyway.
you have absolute freedom, and you always know where it's going back to.
Yeah, it's almost like you know how to rein it in when you're going too far off course.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes off course and off course again.
Sometimes reins it in, and sometimes doesn't.
No, if he does, he does. If he doesn't, he just goes to the next scene. We call that
or
it.
the book, or the book ends.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it was just aliens playing with their toys. Next book. Do you know what I'm talking about, Allie?
Sorry, there's a cat fight. Sorry.
Did you even hear me, Amber?
No, I did not. What did you say?
By the way, it's just a bunch of aliens playing with their toys. On to the next book.
Oh.
Is that Tommy Knockers?
No.
Oh.
Tommy Knockers has a cool ending.
Right?
Under I don't know if I want to say it on.
Oh,
well,
my bad.
Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, I can always edit it if I want. I don't know that I will. Anything? When was that written? Anything over 10 years? There's no spoilers at this point.
That was like 2009. So
yeah, I mean, you don't listen to this podcast if you're not already deep into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, I think out of all the books that I've read for Stephen King, that one is definitely the most disappointing. So yeah, sometimes he could benefit from knowing how it's going to end first.
That one, I think he should have done what he did when the dome came down. Nobody knew why. It should have just disappeared the way it showed up, and I would have been okay with that.
That too, I agree. Yeah.
They should have just woke up and there would be no more dome, and like the Beethoven music would start playing, and the birds would come out.
And that's why sometimes it's much better to not explain things when it comes to horror.
Yeah, because some of the best books or movies we sit there and talk about for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
So and he says that some of his endings, you're like, I'd leave it up to you, or maybe not in those words, but it's something about imagination. Isn't it better in your imagination or something like that? And I can get with that sometimes, like Pet Sematary ending, like you kind of know, but you're not sure. 95% sure, I would say I know how that's going to end up, but he left it open just enough for Pet Sematary 2. Which is a horrible movie. Don't ever watch that if you haven't. A poor boy sandwich. Yeah, he couldn't say. Wait, what couldn't he say? He had to switch to poor boy because Roland couldn't say. Oh yeah. And by the way, that's like a Philly thing. So I'm annoyed that he couldn't say hoagie. Anyway, so one different color. Such fellows often speak their own language when they're on tet. What's on tet? Is that like almost quartet?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of gave up on all the terminology. Like now when I see those words, they all mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot.
I figure I'll eventually go look at the concordance, but I'm like, it's not safe yet.
Got more to law. Yeah, it's not safe yet. You can't do that. But when it's and like you really gotta have to read the tower again, and I know that's a lot, but you just don't get it all the first time. When you go back, you're gonna see so much like, oh, that's what the fuck he's talking about. So it's been happening to Amber the whole time. Like,
yeah,
we have all these side conversations like, oh my god, I can't believe blah blah blah.
I don't think I'm giving anything away, but there are even spoilers in the original poem.
Really?
You can't know that if you don't know what's gonna happen.
Oh, damn! I gotta go read the poem. Actually, is it this book where the poem's in the beginning? Isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I read it. Well, is that the whole thing?
Yeah, it's like 10 stanzas, 5 pages, something like that. I have to go back. I'm not doing that right now. But...
I thought that was just an excerpt. I didn't realize it was that short.
Well, no, it's not short. So then that's probably not the whole poem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's only
like 10 lines.
Yeah.
By the
way, I also had to go in reading those little entryway things. I was like, wait, Trent Reznor wrote Hurt? I like, because I hadn't heard the Nine Inch Nails version. I had only heard the Johnny Cash version. Like,
I like the Nine Inch Nails version. I like some of his songs.
I got down a whole wormhole with that separately.
I guess you like some of his songs too. Yeah, that picture's awesome. Did you send that, Amber?
Yeah, I wasn't sure when it would be safe to send it because I didn't know when Allie was gonna have done that part of the reading, but we were talking about it on the phone, and I was saying that picturing Mordred, I always pictured one of the toys. Yeah, one of Sid's toys from Toy Story, the spider. I think he's called like Spider Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. What came first? Toy Story, right?
Yeah, I think so, right? When was this? 90 or 2000?
Yeah, the original Toy Story is the 90s?
was in the 90s, right?
Toy Story was, yeah. I meant, when did this come out?
This came out, like 2006. Something like that. Yeah, that's like a almost perfect picture. A little metally, but, like that goddamn game I saw with evil train named Charlie. I was like, are you kidding me?
Well, there's no way that's not referencing Stephen King.
I know. There's just no way. It's cool when all the people making the like media, I guess you would say, are like my age, and they're all Stephen King fans like me. So it starts to permeate everywhere, like Flanagan and like the Stranger Thing brothers. I can't remember their name.
Yeah, I agree. I love it.
Anyway, so, and I got another Dela, my favorite word, Dela, gunslinger.
I actually said that out loud the other day without thinking
nice.
about it. I was like answering a question. I was like, "Oh, Dela," and they're like, "What?" And I was like, "What did I just say?"
Buddy, Dela.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know why. It's like my favorite word. He says how many? Okay, so Roland's asking Chevin, I guess, how many, and he's like, Dela, gunslinger. Like, like I said, for here the worlds are thin. Say some other language, or some weird American language, because it almost makes sense. He's like, say, I'm not gonna. Anyway, I'm not doing that. But it thought about Roland's question, it spread its fingers, and it was like 50. And Roland's like, and Discordia, do you truly say so? Like, what does that mean? Because he said, I Chevin Devar Dan Do because I felt sad for them. Cantoy, Canta, Can Discordia. He's like, Discordia, do you truly say so? Like, what does that mean? I have no idea. Like, that piqued Roland's interest. And I was like, why does he? To me, that's just been a word, just like a metaphor. I guess, except for the cast, even Castle Discordia is kind of a metaphor. It's like on the edge of the abyss, but the abyss of what exactly?
Well, what is he saying? I don't understand what he's asking right there.
How many are coming through the walk-ins, the rip?
So he says Cantoy, Canta, Can Discordia. Well, that rhymes.
All right. How about that? Should be a new stanza after that, right? Alvin Law. Well, that kind of rhymes. Wait.
Can. No.
Oh, see, you should have put can ma. See, that would have worked.
Wait, this all seems like it could be French. I just realized that too. Cantois, Canta, Can Discordia.
Yeah, it's like I Chevin Devar Dan Do because I felt sad for them. Okay, so that part, it's not in italics, I actually understand. And maybe, so that's no accident because it's not in italics.
But what, I don't understand what is Roland asking when he says and Discordia? Do you truly say so?
That's my point. I don't know. That's what I was asking. What the fuck is he saying? Because Discordia has just been kind of a metaphor almost.
Well, I thought we knew.
I thought Discordia was the castle.
Yeah, I thought we knew that already.
Well, there's the Castle Discordia, but even that's almost metaphorical. Like, I'm not convinced that's a real place. Well, I guess according to Mia it is, but she almost seems like in her imagination.
Isn't that isn't that the door that they go through? Isn't that in Discordia? Or I guess it's just emphatic. I don't know.
I thought
Yeah.
Castle Discordia was in Fennec.
Right. So that's why I was saying.
Again, so that's just what they call it, though. It's just Castle Discordia. That's so, but he's all like Discordia. Do you say so? Like, I don't. Anyway, I'm not gonna
Actually,
talk.
is Discordia the opposite of GAN?
Ooh.
Maybe.
Are you gonna make me pull my book out? I think it's right here.
Because I think there was something mentioned in the last book when they were talking to King. I just can't remember what it is.
I
That
hate the
would
way
make
Robin did.
sense.
So is it in
Because-
characters? Is it in Portal?
Also, because every time they say I disregard you or I deny you Discordia, I guess that makes a lot more sense. In my head, I was picturing they're talking like to the castle, but it's a force of evil that they're denying, rejecting.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it.
So that would make a lot more sense, yeah. Well, it's not that. No, that is the way that I saw it, but I wasn't picturing Discordia as the opposite of GAN. I was picturing it as the castle where the Crimson King started. Maybe I don't even know actually.
Yeah.
It's like where his underlings hang out. Like
Yeah.
the Prim rejects made a castle, and that's where they chill. Except
we
for
know
Michael.
he's not there.
Yeah, and they have one perfect human baby for some reason.
Who?
Michael.
Oh yeah, right.
So I actually pulled out the book, and I still can't find it. I hate this sorting system she has sometimes. Like, just give me an index and tell me where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like a yearbook.
Yeah, so it's mid-world places, characters, our world places. I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't know where to look for it. Hey, Google, what is Discordia? No, she said, "What is the Scorpio?" That didn't been found. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. So everybody say bye.
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 Bye.